because each day he seemed to look worse and worse, but he was coping and he still had sort of a brightness in his face and a brightness in his eyes. And he said, I've learned how to meditate. And that was the day when I decided if I'm going to be a doctor, I should learn something about, a little bit about meditation and yoga. So meditation led to yoga and sister science of Ayurveda and Kalari, etc. So often we talk about yoga and we talk about yoga on the mat. We're all sitting now doing hatha yoga, doing pranayama. But a lot of yoga actually occurs in our day-to-day lives. Stuff happens to us. It may be a divorce, it may be a death in the family, it may be a disease that we have to face. And that's when yoga actually happens. So yoga is not so much about bending and twisting, it's about our mindset and our outlook on life. And if we are able to develop a mind that is still in calm in the face of adversity, we are practicing yoga. So going back to this patient who walked into the room and he did like that on his chest, this is actually, you can say it's kind of a mudra. Now, he was at a point in his life where he didn't need calmness and gentleness and peace. He actually needed all the grit and courage and determination that he could muster up to get through a life-threatening problem. So when I saw him in the intensive care, he finished his pranayama and he looked at me and he did like that. So that's a mudra. It's probably not a mudra you've learned in any yoga class before, but it's something that you can take away today. Because we're all going to go through stuff. And when that hits the fan, you need to know how to tap in. So he was a wonderful example. My friend who went through that bone cancer, my patient who had the kidney cancer, these are all wonderful examples, and my patients are the greatest inspiration for me. The ideal setting is we have an ideal patient and we have an ideal team. So the ideal patient is someone who is fit, who is strong, who is healthy with a positive outlook and goes into their surgery with a positive mindset. And the ideal team is one that, and to give you another story, when patients come in to have surgery, they go through a number of steps. So there's a check-in process where they're greeted at the desk. And they can be either greeted in a very friendly, courteous way by the staff, or they can be greeted in a grumpy way. All of these things colour the way that a person, a patient experiences their journey in a hospital and through surgery. So they're checked in. They're then taken by the technicians into the operating room. Even that, you ask patients, what do they remember? They remember how they were greeted at the front door. They remember how the technician took them to the operating room. They remember how the nurses spoke to the patient as they got onto the operating table. When patients come into my operating room, I try and ask them to make them relax. What music do you like? And I've got an exhaustive playlist on my iTunes, and sometimes it'll be Bollywood, sometimes it'll be Midnight Oil, sometimes it'll be AC/DC. But whatever music it takes to help them become comfortable and relaxed, that's so important. All of these things are part of yoga for me. Then they're on the operating table, the anaesthetist, the way that they actually interact with the patient, and the way that they deal with the patient. And then at a different kind of level, what actually happens during the operation and the kind of conversation and ambience that is within the operating theatre. I do believe that makes a difference. And then as the patient comes off the operating table into the recovery ward, the recovery nurses and staff, I don't know if you've ever been in and seen how they work. As a patient is coming out of their anaesthetic and waking up, that's such an important time. And it's wonderful to see good nurses doing their skill well. And then they're onto the ward, and then they're going through the recovery process. So for me, yoga is not so much about what happens on the mat. For me as a surgeon, it's how I approach my patients. For my patients, it's the whole experience that I hope they experience going through the surgical journey. And for my friends and family and other yoga practitioners, it's the mindset that they bring to adversity in every single day. So this is my reflections. My reflections over the last 20 years as a doctor, as a surgeon, as a yoga practitioner, prompted me to write a book called Meditation and Martini. It's actually nothing about alcohol, but the title of the book, Meditation, represents the spiritual and Martini represents the material. And what I found sort of juggling these two polarities is there were people in the medical sphere who were very anti anything that was natural, complementary, alternative, and used to make condescending comments about anything to do with yoga and meditation. And then there were people on the yoga, meditation, natural therapy side who'd have all kinds of horrible things to say about the doctors. And so the whole purpose of the book was about bridging gaps, bringing things together, bringing East and West together, bringing ancient and modern together, bringing yoga, modern medicine together. So it's all about that. There's actually no conflict with any of the different therapies and modalities. There's a place for everything. And so it was a great pleasure to release the book last month. And so far there's been a lot of positive feedback. So I would encourage you to head over to the little stall over there. My daughter's doing some henna, and you can also see the book. So I'd like to thank you all for listening and for being here today, and thank Rajendra for the opportunity to speak today.
Dr. Ranjit, it was very nice to see the same message being reiterated that all the 5 koshas are important. And in your surgery, you are taking care of not only other 5 koshas, but also 5 kosha, Jnana kosha, and all. It's really hard to see that this thing works and always works if you treat your life as a holistic. You need to learn that either body or mind or soul. So it's great for your insight into these things. Thanks a lot for that. And Rajendra, you will say a few words.
Thank you, Ranjit. It was a very passionate talk and very lively talk. And his message is inevitable when it happens. Yoga gives a cushion. Yoga is a support. It's inevitability is part of everyone's life. Life doesn't go as we plan. When unforeseen happens, that how yoga can be a support. It's the message, key message. And thanks sharing your experience and make it very lively and motivating the audience. On behalf of everyone, I would like to appreciate his presence. And it was with us in one of the conferences back in, I guess, 2011. 2011, we did it in Oakley, and he presented. And Dr. Rajendra ji also was there. And he was on that day, he came from Sunshine Coast with his family. And I still remember he went on holiday and he landed at around 10 o'clock and he had to rush to the conference. And thank you for being here.
Thanks, Dr. Ranjit. All the yogis, just small notice for you. Sri Rajendra's book, Divinity on Yoga, is available on those stalls as you enter in the hall. So please feel free to browse through the book and make use of it. And you can buy it as well from there.